DJ. That's an amazing song from Lamborghini. I believe it's from the Leadership Center from the West Africa. I hope that East Africa will have our theme song soon. Who is up to the challenge? All right, I think it's 1 minute past 6 p.m. And as we promised to begin, my name is Nelson Otieno, and I will be your host for this particular community of practice webinar. I would love to just introduce this webinar, roll it on, and also acknowledge you as you have spare time to begin to attend this webinar. I also want to acknowledge the RLC staff who are with us today. I have seen Sebastian, we have Beatrice, and I know there are a lot more from the RLC East Africa Leadership Center, that is the team from East Africa. But also if there is anybody from the other leadership centers, please feel free to introduce yourself at the chat section, and also just tell us from which country you're joining us today. I know that East Africa cuts across about 14 countries that are served by the the Nairobi Leadership Center. And I think it is just okay that you introduce yourself, your name, and from which country that you're joining us from today. So I'm so glad to be hosting this today. And as you all know that we are here to bring diverse discussions and also allow our young speakers today to share with us their experiences in line with the Sustainable Development Goals aligned with Agenda 2030. So I will briefly share with you what to expect within the 1 hour that we have to have this conversation going. I'll just briefly share how the program flow would look like. So in the first 10 minutes, I will allow all of us to check in. How do you check in? Get into the chat section, tell us your name, you can tell us your cohort. I can see Valence has shared his cohort. Tell us your country, where you're joining from. If you like, you can also share your thoughts regarding the theme, which is, and I'll just read it for us, the role of ethical youth leadership in realizing the Agenda 2030. And I know our speakers will shed more light on that. The program looks like this. In the first 10 minutes is introduction, and then afterwards we'll go straight into our first speaker. Like I said, we have young leaders who have been doing amazing things in their different elements, and they are here to share with us their experiences regarding the theme and how they have also been able to contribute to the achievement of Agenda 2030. After their presentations, then we will allow all questions, because we will have to go per speaker for the 3 speakers, and then we'll allow all the questions that you have. But I want to encourage you to keep the questions coming in, even as speaker 1 speaks, as our second speaker speaks, and third speaker. Feel free to share your questions on the chat, because they will be able to answer them. You can ask general questions or a specific speaker direct questions, because we have a speaker from Somalia, we have a speaker from South Sudan, and we have a speaker from Sudan. So those different experiences will be shared in this particular webinar. So feel free to ask your questions. And so I will introduce the first speaker in the next 5 minutes or 6. But for now, I just want to give you time to please tell us where you are joining us from. Please tell us your name. If you are not from East Africa, also we'll be glad to have you, and also recognize that you took your time to attend this community of practice event. So we give some time to you for you to introduce yourself on the chat.
Nelson, it seems you are speaking, but you're on mute. I don't know if you...
Oh, yeah, sorry. Thank you for that. I was saying I have seen a couple of introductions on the chat, and I have seen Uganda is represented. I've seen Rwanda. I have seen Kenya. I have seen Sudan. That's for Yusuf. Please keep on introducing yourself. I think we still have 4 more minutes before I introduce our first speaker from Somalia. Okay. It seems very few people are introducing themselves using the chat. All right, I can see Brenda from Kenya working in Rwanda. Okay, that's an amazing mix. Brenda, Kenyan working in Rwanda, and I think that's amazing to have you in this call. Preventing children from being recruited as child soldiers. Great. So 2 more minutes, and then I introduce our first speaker from Somalia. As we do that, please feel free to continue letting us know from where you have joined this call. Oh, Malawi, cohort 22, Glory Ngoleka, Karibu. Karibu is a Swahili word for welcome. Oli from Rwanda. We have Tana from Kenya, working in Nairobi as a videographer and communications manager. We have Olive Rwanda is the networking and events chair, cohort 40. All right, have we all introduced ourselves? Please feel free to continue introducing yourself. I'm trying to look at right. I have seen Blessings from Zambia. Welcome. So right about now, without wasting time, I would love to introduce our first speaker for the day. And our first speaker is from Somalia. Bilan Hisri is a legal and human rights expert. She has over 8 years experience in program management and the rule of law. She currently serves Somali YALI Regional Leadership Center alumni chapter, and also she's a skilled leadership development and international human rights law practitioner, and she is committed to advancing human rights, peace, gender, and equality. As a young person, she is here today to share with us on the theme role of ethical youth leadership in realizing Agenda 2030. I want us to put our hands together, and how are you going to do that? Just do give me a reaction and then welcome our first speaker. Thank you. Let's encourage her. Let's encourage her. Bilan, welcome.
Thank you. I hope everyone can see me and can hear me as well before I start.
Yep.
So first of all, it's my absolute pleasure to join this event. Anything that is about leadership, anything that is about Africa, is something that I'm passionate about. To be honest, I was running, so forgive me if you if I seem a bit tired, but I'm gonna since we don't have enough time, I'm gonna start directly. So thanks for this introduction. My name is Bilan Hirsi. I'm currently the networking and event chairperson for YALI RLC East Africa chapter of Somalia. I'm passionate about to advocate for sustainable development, human rights, and my the most area that I work as voluntarily and is youth development, which something that I will further elaborate. It's my way of giving it back to my community, way of giving it back to Africa, and it's a way of which I will link it to youth ethical leadership, which is the topic that we're gonna cover today. So this topic is quite proud. So I will try to keep it brief. And I will start with first of all what is realizing what's the 2030 agenda. So as we know, the 2030 agenda for sustainable development is a comprehensive global action plan adopted by the United Nations. And it aims to achieve peace, prosperity, and sustainability for people and for the planet by 2030. There are 17 core sustainable developments SDGs, which focuses on eliminating poverty, reducing inequalities, combating climate change, promoting peace. These goals are interconnected. It addresses the economic, social, and environmental challenges that this world is facing. Also, the agenda calls for on all sectors, whether it's society, governments, private sectors, civil societies, and also individuals. So today we're gonna focus on individuals, our role to work on together to implement the SDGs. And achieving these ambitious goals requires collaboration, innovation, and accountability between all the levels that I was just explaining. So that's the 2030 Agenda of Sustainable Development Goals. Now let's come to youth ethical leadership. So first of all, I define youth ethical leadership as it refers to young people leading with fast integrity, with inclusivity, accountability to create a positive, sustainable change. This involves making decisions on fairness, transparency, empathy, and the long-term interests of our society and the environment as well. Ethical youth leaders is about to prioritize the needs of the community and the planet using our voices and the platforms to advocate for justice, equality, and sustainability. Now I want to quickly link how our role of youth ethical leadership in realizing the 2030 agenda. So I'm gonna start with first. I will start with okay, what are like how we can drive actions that are in terms of I mean innovation, accountability across the SDGs. So I will start with a couple of bullet points, and then I will give shortly an example of how I'm doing it, which is a way that I thought that is about to be a practical. So without making it sorry because of time, I will start the first one and the first action of the role of youth ethical leadership in realizing the 2030 agenda is advocacy and mobilization. I believe that youth ethical leaders serves a powerful advocate like we for the 2030 agenda through raising awareness of the SDGs, mobilizing communities to take action and challenging the norms, hold leaders accountable, and push for policy that change that aligns with sustainable principles. I believe that as an advocate for human rights as well, the power of advocacy, raising our voices, and also mobilizing the community and also mobilizing the youth. So I believe that's one of the biggest roles in the youth in terms of the ethical leadership. I also believe in innovation and entrepreneurship. Again, coming up with innovative solutions that are pressing challenges youth, whether it's through the social media, to develop creative approaches, to use issue, I mean, to to create breaches like issues like the climate change or poverty, gender equality, all these things. So I believe that coming up with innovative, also sustainable solutions, because there are a lot of whether it's NGOs or also government projects, but it's all about I believe in addressing the community needs and also thinking about the sustainability angle of it. So that's how I link with, because Africa has the majority of the population is youth, and I believe that this is something that we can I encourage, and as an individual and also for all of us, I think that's one of the core actions. I believe in, and number three is bridging gaps in leadership. Youth ethical leadership helps address leadership gaps. So this is one of the main, I think, pillars of youth ethical leadership, is to bridge the gap that hinder progress on SDGs. Young leaders bring fresh perspectives, energy, resilience to the table, and ensuring that policies and programs are responsive to the needs of the next generation, that emphasizes transparency, accountability, and promoting good governance and ethical to support the SDG. So I believe that's one of the biggest roles of youth ethical leadership. And one of the main also is community empowerment and inclusion. I believe that youth ethical leadership has inclusivity and community empowerment. Nobody should be left behind. It should also to engage with local communities to build their capacity, to create awareness, and provide platforms for all stakeholders to contribute to sustainable development. So I think that's one of the biggest also roles for the youth ethical leadership to realize the 2030 agenda. And the last one, which I would say is build a sustainable future. At the heart of youth ethical leadership is commitment to long-term sustainability. And that's something that I really believe that it's something that as a youth, everybody should consider, okay, what I'm doing in terms of sustainable future. Because the whole thing about, I know everybody is doing their way, whether it's the work, whether it's the voluntary, or whether it's through the academic, we're doing a lot. But also it's all about connecting these, whether it's with the integrity that I was saying, or with the inclusivity, with the innovation, and also having in mind addressing the real community needs, also involving the community, building their capacity. I believe that all of us, in terms of also addressing the communities, nobody should be left behind. And I think that their voices matters, our voices matters, and everybody voices matters. So that's how I thought that that's a great element to add. I'm gonna just finish now with an example of how I do it. Um, like as a passion, as I'm a passionate advocate about sustainable development, human rights, and I said the youth development, I actively contribute these realizations through my professional and also through my academic journey. Currently, as I said, I serve as the YALI Network and Adventure, which is a role that I've been serving for the last 1 year and more than half, like almost 2 years now. And the reason that I did was to give it back to my community, to be honest. For example, now I had a really long day, but still, this is something that I promised it to give it back to my community. And this is my role of taking action, which all of us are doing now, is to give it back to our community and work. The sector that I'm working is more on youth development, because I believe that through realizing, for example, the equality or the education is where it started. So I believe that if I empower the youth, that's one of the roles that I'm sharing it with the other opportunities I also took up part of, and also through my education, which is currently I was doing my master's. I got a Gemini scholarship, so I'm about to finish that. But one of the things is that I was doing was on my thesis, I'm focusing on internally displaced persons in Somalia. and also my focus on is SDG 5 and SDG 16, which is gender equality and also equal access to justice for all. So I was trying to address that, and it's some. That's why I say when it comes to sustainability development, it's something that I believe should be on every agenda that we are working on, whether it's my work or whether it's through the education. So that's brief of how I was doing it. In every role I take, I am guided by the principles of integrity, inclusivity, innovation, and sustainability, ensuring that my actions contribute to meaningful realization of the 2030 agenda. So I don't want to keep it. I mean, I don't want to make it long, so I will keep it short. That's as of now. Over to you, Nelson.
Thank you so much, Bilan. And I think I must commend that you have very good sense of timing. You have actually shared very crucial points about how integrity and transparency can shape the future of youth leadership, and you've shared very good experiences from Somali. And I think I love the aspect of you touching on what kind of SDGs you are influencing or contributing to in your line of work as a young leader. And so I just want to acknowledge those who just joined us as the first presenter was going on. You're not too late. We are actually going to our second presentation for this evening. And just to introduce our second presenter, I also, before I do that, just please use the chat section to just type in the questions, the comments you have as each speaker goes on with their presentation. Feel free to ask the questions, put in your comments, and also contribute to the conversation. And of course, after the third speaker, we'll have just a dedicated session for Q&A. I would love to introduce our second speaker. Our second speaker is Peter Aguto. Peter Aguto is currently the chairperson of YALI Alumni South Sudan. I know I will give him a time to introduce himself and delve straight away into his presentation. But his presentation will now look at what are some of the strategies that are used to empower youth leaders, because he actually has an organization that he runs, and he will tell us a little about it as he delves into his presentation. Peter, over to you.
All right. Good evening to all of you. My name is Aguto Peter Chops. Those are my names. I'm the chairperson of YALI South Sudan chapter and also the founder of Youth Action Network Organization. I just wanted to thank all of you for finding your time to join in today for the community of practice. I know the first speakers enlightened more on sustainable development in regards to Agenda 2030. But then I'm going to be basically on the strategies that we, owners of institutions, the government, and other young leaders outside there could take to empower young leaders. And of course, because of time, I'm going to be very precise enough. As young leaders, we know there's no leader that can come up and do something that is very important in the community without the support and without the strategies that are laid down by the institution. And most of the strategies that I will talk about, first, we need mentorship and coaching. You know, our young people in Africa or our young leaders, if you are not mentored or if you are not coached, you not even realize what is that career that you need to build, what is that idea that you need to impact your community. But when you get a mentor, someone who will look after you and tell you, do like this, do like that, you'll be one of the great leaders that will be able to benefit and give good, sustainable solutions to your communities. So I would recommend that the most strategies that we can do is to mentor the young leaders. Uh, However much the leaders are, we need to get mentors. And it's going to be up to us as leaders, by the way, because sometimes the mentors don't come to you, but you come up to the leaders, to the mentors. So when you are someone who's driving a social change in your community, look up to that leader that you wanted to be like, and then let that person mentor you. You could even learn at your previous time, like like me now, I have a mentor that I'm not contacted with, but I used to follow how he or she is doing the work. So the major important strategy is to what? Is to give mentorship. Secondly, we need to provide opportunities for the growth and the professional development. Like what is happening at YALI now. YALI is a platform that is giving young leaders an opportunity to learn. And if we don't have this opportunity, if we don't have these platforms, the young leaders cannot adapt and they cannot learn and they cannot realize the potentials that they have in order to impact the communities later. So I would suggest, I know YALI is not enough for all of us. And of course, we used to get less number that benefit from the YALI program. But I would suggest another strategy that we as young leaders can take, the owners of institutions and also the government, is to avail the opportunities for the growth of the young people. There's someone who is very less in what he or she is having, but when we invest and bring platform that they can learn through it, there can be some people who can do wonders in the community. So that is second. Third, I would encourage collaboration. And this is what I emphasize the most. We need to collaborate and we network among ourselves. For us to empower young leaders, there is nothing much like bringing them together and let them collaborate. There are some of the activities that can support, that can help the communities. When we find it in Kenya, I go and bring it, I collaborate with my colleagues from Kenya, I bring it to South Sudan. When we did it in South Sudan and it was successful, we go to Rwanda like that. And that collaboration will make young leaders to learn through each other. And when they learn the Agenda 2020, that is Sustainable Development Goals, they can be just achieved as we want. Like what happened this year in March, I think, when I was in Rwanda. I got the chapter of Rwanda. They did a very good library, of which the issue of library is not just a problem in Rwanda. And I think is most thing that is affecting the scholars, the young scholars in all over Africa. Let me just put it like that. So what I did right now, I'm looking forward to collaborating with Rwanda chapter, and then we see how best we can establish another library in most of the communities that are vulnerable. So I would advise that another strategy that we can use to empower young leaders is through collaboration and networking. Let them come together, they learn through each other. And then the last thing is lead by examples. I know all of us are leaders, but then what kind of leader are we showcasing to the young leaders? There is one leader that I am looking up to. What is he or she portraying to me? Is it a positive thing or negative? And this is to the young leaders that have attended today, and also us, the leaders. Be leading by example. Let young leaders take the goodness of you so that they know the benefit of being a leader and what young people can benefit from that leader later. We have heard and we have seen a lot of leaders that are destroying, instead of empowering young leaders, they are destroying the leaders. And these are the people that are applying corruption, other things that we all know. So are you the kind of a leader that we think, or you'll be the person that young people could learn from? So I would suggest that another strategy that we can play as leaders and outside there is to lead by example. Let us give a positive part of our leading. Let us give the positive part of the position that we are holding. And by doing so, the Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goals could be achieved. Number two, I want to conclude by just putting this. The Agenda 2030 looks farther, but is very near. But the little thing that we do as the young leaders across the globe can change the narrative and we achieve the Agenda 2030. What are we doing? Let us ask ourselves, what are we doing in our communities? And that thing that we are doing in our communities could result to what? The achieving Agenda 2030. So I encourage all of us as young leaders, let us learn through each other. That is the strategy that we can achieve our sustainable development goals, Agenda 2030. Let us support and have the platforms like YALI. Let us also do it in our communities. Let us bring up the leaders that are born, the leaders that are trained. But it's up to us to train them. It's up to us to let them realize their potential. Otherwise, I thank you so very much for tuning in, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. And I wish we had more time. You'd have maybe share with us your experience as the chair of South Sudan. How has it been for you, even as you have shared with us very powerful strategies to engage youths in ethical leadership? And you have given us, I'm not going to summarize them, but I'm just going to mention one that you have touched on, collaboration. We are in this webinar from different, at least 14 countries. So we actually, collaboration, like you have mentioned, plays a very key strategy in empowering youth for ethical leadership. And because there is a little time you have given us as we do this, I want to confirm with Beatrice if you are able to maybe project the next presentation that we will have the next presentation from Malaz. Okay, as you do that, Malaz is from Sudan. For those who just joined in, we started with a young speaker, a young leader from Somali, and then we have heard from Peter from South Sudan, and now we want to hear from another leader from YALI, Sudan. Malaz is going to be discussing ethical youth leadership in action and giving us her experiences also around the same. Malaz, over to you. Please confirm you can hear me, Malaz. If you are, yes, we can hear you now.
If you ever listen.
All right, we can barely hear you.
Yes, it's Malaz. I guess now
Great.
Someone had already introduced me for you. It's Malaz, cohort party 7, civic leadership track alumni. Also, I'm the partnership and sources mobilization chairperson for the chapter Sudan. Okay, I will continue my college speech on the ethical leadership in realizing the 23's agenda. I will talk about ethical leadership in action. I also focus on volunteer work in conflict areas like Sudan. Okay, let's start. Next slide. Okay, when we say ethical youth leadership in action, we mean empowering young people to lead with integrity, responsibility, and social awareness. Okay, it emphasizes values like respect, inclusivity, and accountability. The goal is to cultivate the generation of leaders who prioritize ethical consideration in their action and enforce positive change in their community. Okay, but let us think in the context of the conflict. In the context of the conflict areas like Sudan, what the community needs and what we can do as leaders. Okay, conflict leading to humanitarian crisis, of course, displacement, poverty, and lack of access to education and healthcare. So what we can do? We can provide essential services like education, healthcare, and foster community resilience and empowerment. We can create youth-led initiatives addressing food security or programs promoting peace building and reconciliation. I have also some examples for organization from Sudan. The organization you see its logo here, Hands on Hands Sudan. I'm in charge of this initiative. We are a dedicated organization to support displaced communities in Sudan affected by ongoing conflicts, focusing on providing vital health, mental, and social support, with tagline "One hand at a time" and solidarity. Also, there is other example is the emergency room. It's the emergency room which provides food and medicine in the conflict area. And by the way, we was nominated for the Nobel Prize by Oslo Peace Institute in the region capital Oslo. Okay, but we are facing many challenges. I can also reflect some, like limited resources and support, also security risk and conflict move in some states which was occupied by the conflict. And support is the most thing. Let's see how we can measure Do you hear me? Nelson, I'm talking about the last slide. Okay, I will talk about how we can measure the impact on SDGs. The key metrics is to track the progress. We can measure the number of youth engaged in volunteer work, like how many we recruit in hands-on-hands organization, and how many we recruit volunteers in the emergency rooms. And also we can measure like the improvement in the community well-being indicators like health, education, how far we did, how far the community benefit from our support, and so on. So we strive to achieve the 23's Agenda for Sustainable Development. Our role is as ethical leaders is critical. We urge you to take action in conflict areas like Sudan, where our commitment can make a profound difference. Yes, please volunteer, raise awareness, and collaborate. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Malaz, and sharing your real
I'm done.
world experience
Thank you.
from your organization, hands on hands, and also relating it to sustainable development goals. You've also even shared how your organization measures involvement of young people and the metrics that you have used for change in a challenging environment like Sudan. And that is wrapping up the three presenters or the three key speakers we had for this evening. And now I just want to open it up for the floor. I want to open the floor for questions, answers. It must not necessarily be a question, but your thoughts on the three presentations. Just to remind you, our first presenter talked about what is ethical youth leadership. And she also talked about how we are working on different sustainable development goals that are aligned to Agenda 2030. And she's from Somali. So you can view her experiences from Somali angle, but what are your thoughts on that presentation? Our second presenter talked about what are the key strategies that can be used to involve youth or empower young people to be ethical leaders. So that was from South Sudan by Aguto Peter. I don't know what stood out for you. What are your reflections on that presentation? I know he talked a lot about opportunities, mentorship. He talked about collaboration and also leading by example. And our last speaker who just finished is Malaz from Sudan, also, just like I said, sharing her practical examples from her hands-on-hands organization and how they involve youth in ethical youth leadership in action. The question now comes back to you. What are your thoughts? What are your sentiments? You are allowed to use the chat section to ask a question to a specific speaker or ask a general question that one of the speakers will be able to answer, or you can lift up your hand. We will allow you to unmute and speak and ask your question. So who wants to go first? Let me see if there are comments on the chat before we allow. I think the only comment as the first speaker spoke was on Fidel. Fidel was leaving and she said, great insights, Bilan, and she had to jump off. So this floor is ours to ask questions, interact with the three young leaders from Somaliland, from South Sudan and Sudan on the topic ethical youth leadership. So feel free to lift your hand up. Feel free to ask a question and also share your sentiments on the three presentations and from our three speakers today. The time is yours to speak. Yes, I can see a hand from Douglas. Please go ahead, Douglas.
All right. Thank you so much for the presenters, and thank you, Nelson, for the great job that you are doing. I will ask a question, and it's not specific to a particular speaker. I will whoever can answer that will be okay. And the topics have been very interesting, and especially on matters ethical leadership, as far as things like transparency is concerned. I just want to ask, either of them can answer, but I feel like Hisri will be more attuned to answering that, and also Aguto. When it comes to how do you encourage your team members, or how do you ensure that all your team members are working or are exercising ethical leadership? What do you have any structures you've put in place to ensure that all of the team members, it could be whether as a YALI leader or even in your organization, like I saw Malaz talked about her organization, how do you ensure that all your team members are leading with ethics and they are leading with transparency and accountability? Because normally at the end of the day, if any one of your leaders is found, let's say, in a scandal or is found not doing something that is right, then it's the whole team, it's the whole institution, it's the whole organization. So I will be interested to know, do you guys have some strategies, or do you have some structures you have put in place that will help you to know a member of your team is either living according to the ethos you have put, or there's someone who is faltering? And how do you come around, let's say someone has done something wrong or they're not leading according to the ethos? How do you come around to rectify and correct them? Thank you.
Okay, great
And I'm
question.
Douglas Ogutu from Kenya. Thank you.
Good question from Douglas. Thank you for that. And I think it's directed to Bilan. I can pick two more. If there is two more, and then we hear the speaker's responses before. Do you have any more questions? I can't see any hands that have been raised. I will even poke the countries. Is there any question from Uganda? Any question from Rwanda? I'm just looking for two more, then I will give Bilan a chance to, or any other speaker today to answer. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Nelson.
Hi.
Sorry, I was trying to find this thing for raising my hand on this phone, but I can't find it. Technology is playing me, ancestral spirit. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, from wherever you're joining from. It's Myra, and I lead the Ugandan chapter. I think I don't have necessarily a question, but I have a comment to make. Basically, to say that thank you for this conversation. I've loved it. The sharing of experiences that bring life to the concept. And I think I just want to emphasize the ethics of leadership. I know sometimes it's hard, especially in the context of voluntary leadership that we are having, where you put in more than receive kind of situation. I think it's easy to be tempted, if I'm to use that word, to, not be ethical or do the right thing. Because ethics is just basically, doing the right thing at the right time. So I think it's a calling, but also a challenge to us as leaders to say, just because everyone is doing the wrong thing doesn't make it right. What is right is right, what is wrong is wrong. And I think it's every time I'm, faced with a decision that is difficult, that I ask myself, is this the right thing to do? I may not like it because maybe it gives me more work, it stresses me out. But if it's the right thing to do, then maybe it's worth it. And I think it's something you have to build. And Douglas asked a good question. How do you make your team? Because if you as a leader at the center of it are doing the right thing consistently, then your team might start adapting to that. But if you give room to, not doing the right thing, even one time, if you just one time not do the right thing, follow through your own word, or fail to follow through your own word, then you're going to create a breeding ground for unethical leadership. I think that's what I've learned from experience. And maybe to also say that change is difficult. People hate change because change is uncomfortable. It changes things. You're trying to make a difference. You're trying to structure. So you're going to face a certain type of friction or resentment from the people you're leading, from your team, because they just feel like, why are we even doing all of this? But that is the essence of change. So it takes a lot of time for them to adapt, to learn, to appreciate why you're pushing maybe a certain policy way of doing things. Maybe you're changing certainly. And sometimes you might think you're dividing the team, but no, they're just trying to understand a new concept of what is this whole new world that we're creating. And if we persist enough, then we can be able to bring the entire team on board. Some may come on board earlier, others may delay, others may resent for so long. But what matters is have a genuine conversation with your team and say, this is why this I think is this. What do you think? Why do you think it's not a good idea? Because it's from that feedback that you're able to align and get your entire team on board in an over a period of time. And it doesn't have a specification of how long. Thank you. Over to you, Nelson.
Thank you so much, Faith, for your comments and also contribution to the conversation. I just want to now drop it to Bilan. If Bilan is okay with answering the first question from Douglas, how do you ensure your team? I hope you got the question. Go ahead.
So, if I understand you correctly, you said, how do you ensure if some of the team, because people are different, so they maybe come up with not doing in integrity or any of the other ethical thing, if they miss it, if I think that was the question. So thanks, actually, Faith. Faith is one of the leaders that I really look up to. So she gave an answer of especially leading as a volunteer, and the challenge are also the positive as well. But one thing that I will say is, and as a leader, always is to lead with example. And also, I believe that whether if you have your own organization or whether you are working as a team, it's always as a leader, it's good to lead with examples because I know a lot of people when we do that, I mean, they look up to you and they do see what you do. So it's always good to have a clear communication, clear values. Communicate. I find that communication is the key, whether it's when you are explaining the values or what do you want from the team, and also when there is a problem as well or a challenge, as one of the team members might not lead with that. So I always believe in reassurance, we are like, and also bringing back always the value and the goals of that. And in case that happens, I always believe in communication of is the best way of solving things. So maybe like start with private, and respectful conversation, reinforcing the team values, I said, and expectations, providing constructive feedback. And also I believe in creating opportunities for reflection and growth. Because of for example, now I'm working with my team in Somalia. I know that all of us also are doing their own work and also they want to volunteer. But one thing that I always like, we always reassure ourselves is we are doing it for our community, and like we have to lead it, especially we're doing it, I mean, our sector is based focusing on youth. So whatever how we are using our platform as the leaders, kind of is what I mean, what the others, I mean, youth are seeing. So I I don't want to make it more. I mean, I want it to be short, but I would say always it can happen. Like anything can happen, but it's always about clear communication and talking about the values and also giving constructive feedback and leading with example is, I think, that's how I will sum it up. So yeah, and balance between empathy, accountability, and decisiveness. So I think that's how I would sum it up.
Thank you, Bilan, for that response. And there's a question on the chat for any of the speakers. Do you think that the main challenge of Africa is absence of ethical leadership, which should be prioritized in our governance system? So he's asking if you think that our main challenge here in Africa is the absence of ethical leadership, which should be prioritized in our governance systems. That's from Yasin. And because Bilan just went through, anyone either from Peter or any of the two speakers. Yes, Peter, I see your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Well, I think that is a very good question, and I just want to take it. This is one of the biggest challenges that is facing our leadership in Africa, because once the leaders are not ethical enough, they will not govern very well. And as you have heard from my sister, Faith, change is very difficult and people don't like it. And once we elect or once we have the leaders that are not ethical enough, this is where we find corruption. This is where we find leaders that doesn't care of tomorrow. This is where we find leaders that are not bringing up the next generation that will lead the nation. And of course, this is where we find tips, right? So once a leader is ethical enough, they will be caring of others. They will know what others want. How do they make services to their people? And this is why you are elected. So my sister or my brother, I think that is one of the challenges that is facing Africa in terms of leadership and governance. Once we have ethical leaders, we will not have corruption. We shall not have those that are stealing. We shall not have those that don't care about the next generation. We shall not have those that are terrorists and other things. So ethical leadership is paramount, is one of the best things that will build the future of Africa once we adopt it. So that's the best way that I can put it. Otherwise, I don't know whether I've convinced you enough. Thank you.
Peter, thank you for answering that question. I have a follow-up question for you, even as we wait for more questions to come in. A follow-up question on what you just answered. You have acknowledged that, of course, that's a big challenge in African leadership. That's ethical leadership, absence of ethical leadership. So our follow-up question is that what values or what principles or what actions can be taken or should be embraced by leaders in Africa, and just to help us also realize sustainable development, which is aligned to Vision Agenda 2030. So what are your thoughts? What are those values that, because we are the leaders today, tomorrow, in the future, yesterday, but because we are young and of course by 2050 we will have the youngest workforce or leadership in Africa. So what are the values or the principles or what actions should be taken in line with the question you just answered?
Well, thank you, Nelson, for the follow-up question. I think one of the bigger challenge right now, Nelson, is not about what is supposed to be done, but it's about the people. Because trust me, if you look at most of the African leaders, most of them are PhD holders, masters, or which if we could say they are not educated, we are wrong. These are the people that have learned. They went through the kind of leadership that we wish they would have gone to, but then they're failing to give the services. So the problem are not the people, are not the skills that they don't have, is not the education, but the problem are the people. So what are the values that I could propose is when someone who is in position embrace change. Okay. When someone who is in a position knows why he or she was elected to go and do what he or she has proposed. Number two, know what your people want. Okay, don't be selfish. Don't think about yourself, because this is one of the things that is killing our continent. You go to a power, instead of delivering the services, you think of yourself, your family, your immediate family, leaving out other people. And being an ethical leader doesn't require you to act such a ways. So I would propose, Nelson, that our bigger problem are not that we don't have educated leaders. We do have educated leaders. We have people that have gone through a very good educational system. But the problem are the people that we give the power. So those that will be having the power, like personally me and you, Nelson, and other young leaders, when we have an opportunity to serve in public services or public offices, what do we bring in? The first thing that comes with our mind is the change. We embrace change. Okay. We care of others. We know this office is not ours, it's for the people. And we are there to deliver, give them the services that they want. So just be an accountable leader. Know that when you take a position, you must be account and you must be transparent for the people to respect and know what the work that you are doing. Number two, be open, because the other leaders, if we look at what is killing Africa mostly right now, is telling the truth. When you come up and speak out the truth, tomorrow, if that leader is not an open-minded leader, tomorrow you are gone. So be open to listen to advices from young people and from the elderly, and then you deliver what you wanted. Lastly, know why you are coming to the office. Because when you don't know why you're coming to the office, this is where you get a lot of people manipulating you, driving you of what you don't even know. And you start mingling around, gambling around. At the end of the day, you start turning against your people. So just let us take it like that. Our people are the problem, but they have gone through a very good educational system. And these are the small values that I will propose that we can take in case we have a pleasure and a chance to serve in public offices in the next 50 years or 10 years to come.
Thank you so much, Peter. We have the next 2 minutes to maybe wrap up the Q&A session, but I don't want to block anyone who just came in. If you just came in, we are on the Q&A sessions. We have just had 3 amazing young speakers talk to us on ethical leadership in realization of Agenda 2030. So if you just came in, maybe this is your opportunity to share your sentiments or ask a question. Before we get, because I will give the speakers a chance to wrap up and maybe make a call to action to all the young leaders who have been able to attend this webinar. So 2 minutes to pick maybe 1 or 2 more questions or sentiments that that you have before I give the chance to the speakers to really wrap it up and tell us their call to action, beginning with Malaz, of course. Brenda, yes, I can see your hand. Please go ahead. If you're speaking, we can't hear you, Brenda.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So I was saying I saw Aguto's hand up before me. I'm not sure if he has spoken or that I should go. Nelson, you're muted.
Oh, please go ahead. Sorry, I was saying it was an earlier hand. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was out for a second. I don't know if this was dealt with, but next year's theme for AU is on justice and repatriations. And I wanted to know what our thoughts are, our plans on achieving this, particularly because we are seeing a huge wave of youth taking over not just political roles, but in a way assisting their governments in making the change, not just towards the top, but also reaching to the society at hand. Now, considering that our artifacts are said to come back home, which means it's not just about the physical artifacts, but also education with regards to our true history and not what was taught to us in colonialism, the issue of intellectual property, because we're now seeing also youth being very great innovators. I wanted to just throw it out there if any of you are working towards that. Whether in the legal sector, in the science sector, or whatnot, if you are thinking of that in those terms. because it is very easy for us, and I see that in a lot of our forums, it is very easy for us to provide this input, give our suggestions and whatnot, but protecting these suggestions and actually seeing them come to pass, there's a huge gap in that. So for the leaders here, I just wanted to throw it out there that you could probably think, it's not a question, it's a suggestion. If you can think of this in future, next year's theme is on justice and repatriations. How are we using our current rules to ensure that what we are doing continues? It is not a question, it is a suggestion.
Great. I think Brenda has brought in a very great suggestion, and I am glad that we have staff represented from RLC. We have Sebastian, who is the manager for is the alumni. Sebastian is the grants manager of RLC. Beatrice is here, who has been very instrumental in organizing this webinar, and I think she has noted your suggestion. So thank you for that, also for maybe linking it to AU theme for next year. Last but not least, I saw a hand. Before now, I invite the speakers to make their clarion call. So last question here. Thank you, Brenda, for that. Last question from Fred or input. Please feel free to unmute, Fred. Mr. Fred, if you're speaking, you are muted. And I can see your hand is up.
Yeah, sorry.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry again for that. Muted. I was muted rather. This is a great session. I think the community of practice is coming at a time when the role of ethical youth leadership, is of great importance, in realizing the 2030 agenda. But something that most of us are not really talking about is the reality behind this 2030 agenda. Are we going to meet it? Are we working towards it? Is it something really achievable? So I've heard from Bilan, I've heard from my friend Aguto and Malaz as well. Generally, they don't mention to us if, from experience and from their respective spaces, is this something that we are going to achieve by 2030? Are young people, ethically, showcasing their true leadership? Is this something that is really happening? That's just a concern. Might not be a question to respond to, but it's a time for us to reflect again and ask ourselves if truly we are going to realize the 2030 agenda, or it's just an ambitious agenda that we all are looking forward to. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fred, and everyone else who has been able to give their thoughts in and contribute to the conversation around ethical youth leadership and realization of the Agenda 2030. Without taking more time now, I just want to invite our speakers, just 1 minute each, for your thoughts and a conclusion or a clarion call. And allow me to begin with Malaz as you give your parting shot, just 1 minute for each of the three speakers as we wrap it up. Malaz, are you okay to go first? Can you hear me? If you're speaking, you are muted. Right.
Nelson, my
Yes,
internet dropped for a while. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Did you hear my question?
No, not me. Please repeat. Sorry.
Your last remarks and call to action, just 1 minute.
Okay. You guys, you are all leaders. I know that each one of you have an impact in his own society. I just want to I want you to rethink. I want you to think again about ethical leadership and also about. Okay, I guess you can remember them about empower communities, drive sustainable solution. Also, also encourage them to volunteer, raise awareness, and collaborate. You know that together we can foster resilience, promote peace, and ensure sustainable future for Earth. Step us as ethical leaders. You know that your action today will shape tomorrow. Remember that things. Remember our ethical values, and encourage your members, encourage your friends, encourage your family, your society, to all to be at one hand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Malaz. Let's hear from Peter. 1 minute.
All right. Thank you so much, Nelson. Thank you so much, guys, for taking your time to listen to us. Thanks to the RLC for organizing this wonderful webinar. I'm really honored and I appreciate the opportunity. I would love to just put one thing across. Um, Let us take this as a challenge. Of course, we know how the leadership is. There's no leadership that is very easy, starting all the way from the home. Even if you are the head of family, a father or a mother, you know leading people is not easy. And initially, there's always differences, there's always challenges. And if we stick to correcting those challenges, this is where we'll see the Africa that we wanted. I would propose that as we depart from here, let us put our community at our heart as the first thing. Regardless of the place that you are in, let us put the community at heart. And initially, the leadership grows. At the level that you are in now, there come a time that you'll be at the top level. But then if the community in your as depart away from your heart, then the narrative or the idea that you have could definitely change. So I would say wherever you are, what position that you are in, put your community at your heart, see the way of giving back. It's not much that the community want from you. Take a small thing that you're doing, impact your community, and that is all. Otherwise, there's no any other person that is going to come and change even our doorstep. It's us. So let's get back, do the work that we want to do. Let's collaborate. Let us learn through each other. Continuous learning is very important. Something that I don't know, reach out to Nelson, reach out to me, reach out to anyone. And we'll see the Africa that we wanted in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Peter. And last but not least, we can hear from Bilan.
Yes. So the leaders already summed it up. I would just say, wake up. To be honest, was going through the wall. Is something that I always say. Do self-aware, and also and I also urge and myself and everyone to whatever position that we have to lead with integrity, be courageous in your choices, raise your voice, which is something that I really I think that really makes the biggest change, whether it's in terms of holding the government accountable, and also holding ourselves and everybody accountable. And let's embrace sustainability through our through regional community, through knowing their needs, and all these things are, to be honest, linked to each other. One thing that I will say, when I was talking about the sustainability or ethical leaderships, whether it's the integrity, being courage, being part of the decision making, sustainability, all these things, to be honest, if you go back to our culture, our religion, what we have been taught, and also being as a human being, what makes us different from animals is like knowing what's right and what's wrong. And to be honest, as long as you have that voice that says this is the right thing, I believe that we can do a lot. I will just conclude with thinking about like all the opportunities that we had, whether it's the YALI RLC or anything else, giving it back to our youth that are really in need of someone who to lead them. I believe that all the countries are almost the same. I know in Somalia, a lot of youth are really dealing with difficulties in terms of not knowing what to do. And I believe that taking a lead role in any way, a role that you are doing is something that I believe that can bring a change to realize the agenda, and also to make a change into a better Africa that we all want, something that we're all working on. Let's collaborate. The last thing, sorry to before I forget. I really learned a lot between the YALI RRCs, I mean, alumni through the East Africa. And I always really admire and learn more. And I believe that if we collaborate, indeed, not just saying it on words, but if we really do what we're doing, standing for call of action, and holding ourselves accountable as well, can be really helpful. So yeah, that's all of me that I can say. Back to you, over to you, Nelson. I mean, and thank you everyone for joining us, for listening to us.
Thank you so much. I think what a way to wrap it up from our three amazing young leaders from Somali, from South Sudan, and Sudan, sharing their experiences and what they think about ethical youth leadership and the role it has, or the influence it has on achieving sustainable development, of course, which is the core focus of Agenda 2030. I also want to appreciate all of you for creating time to attend this conversation. As always, there is not enough time to have such enriching conversations, and we always look forward to the next one. And just like the speaker said, the attendees or those who contributed said, it's not enough to have the conversation, but we take this back into action and implement in our organizations. And those of us who get opportunities to lead everywhere, please, ethical leadership is the way to go. So I want to apologize for around 6 minutes beyond the program that we had planned for. But I want to thank you for also being patient to the end and contributing to this conversation. Without much ado, I just want to also acknowledge the RLC team that has been with us here since we started, even in the planning of this conversation, community of practice. Thank you so much, Beatrice. I have seen your team is also here, including Fatma and also Rosemary Ndivo, who's the Deputy Chief of Party. So we really appreciate that you found time to continue this conversation, or to have this conversation with us. Without much ado, I just want to say that we have come to the end of our conversation this evening on this webinar, but the conversations must continue even off this webinar in our different organizations and in our different societies, or wherever we are leading. The question is, do we have a role to play in ethical in leadership in Africa? Yes. What do we have to do? Be ethical leaders. So just to close this webinar, I will request us to do a group photo. If you are able to turn on your video, well and good. And then we can leave. I think most have dropped, but if you're able to turn on your video, it's okay. We can do a group photo.
One second.
Hi, Nelson. We can't see you, man.
Yeah.
It went off. But thank you so much for finding time to join us. And like we said, let's keep the conversation going. And I want to also appreciate Beatrice for also working with us all this to the end. Thank you so much. I want to wish you all a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you and bye.